welcome into a special Valentine's Day edition of Whoosh Wednesday with me, Louie. Today we're going to look at which comic book grading company is the right match for you and some special Valentine's Day gifts that my wife got me this year. So without that, let's dive straight in. I feel like it would be remiss to start this topic off without diving into the CBCS, CGC kind of background. So CGC was founded in around 2002. It's probably the most well-known grading company for comic books at the moment. CBCS was founded later on by someone who helped found CGC when they left CGC and created their own company. However, both are now owned by private firms and not their original owners anyway. CGC, I believe, is owned by BlackRock, I think it might be, and then CBCS is now a subsidiary of Beckett, who you might know from grading sports cards. So both have kind of moved on and shifted from their original ownership and maybe their original mission, if that makes sense. But I wanted to take a second to kind of show, I know I've shown them on my channel before. This is the CGC slab. You can definitely, like, I don't know if you can hear it on the mic here, but there's some shake inside of that slab, which I don't necessarily love. I mean, they look great. They present really well. A minor issue people tend to have with CGC is that they don't necessarily always list everything that's important on the label. And I think I've gone over that in a previous video where I had the first appearance of the Illuminati in comics, and my CGC slab of it didn't list that at all. But the CBCS slab that I was going to be gifting actually listed it as the first appearance of the Illuminati. So since that's kind of a key comic book moment, it would be nice if that was listed on the slab, and if CGC took better care to list more key events on their slabs. I will say, I say all of that by saying I do still have a massive amount of CGC slabs, and we'll get back into them in a second, but I do want to show off the CBCS case now, which, like, shaking it by the mic, there's nothing. There's no movement inside. There's no wiggle in the case. It's very secure. The sides are really, really secure as well. So case-wise, the win goes to CBCS hands down. No question asked at all on that. As I said, their label has a lot more information usually than the CGC ones, which is really, really helpful, because something might be considered a minor key to you or I, but it might be something important to somebody else. So if it's key, you list it on there, then everybody knows it going forward. So CBCS wins on that front, for sure on the case. As far as pricing right now, CBCS is $22 for modern, $24 for $22 for new, $24 for modern, and I think it jumps up to $40 after that. So modern extends until from 1975 until 2000. New is 2000 to present, and then anything prior to 1975 is about $40, which is great. But one of the killers for CBCS is that their return shipping is about $30 through FedEx if you don't have an account. That can really hinder you if you want to submit books, because you have to, submitting one book, if it's a new book, would cost you $22, plus if you wanted to get it cleaned and pressed, that's another, like, I think $22-ish around that point, plus $30 to get it shipped back. So that new book that you just paid, what, $5 for maybe, is now costing you the $5 plus $22 plus another $22, so you're at $44, $49 plus $30. You're at $79 on a new book. The chances of that new book being worth at least $80, slim. So not necessarily worth it for you to submit it on that front. However, you might have some mid-2000s books that might be more worth it for that. But that's the way their pricing breaks down. It's $22 for new, $24 for modern, and $40 for anything older than 1975, and then $30 shipping. Whereas CGC is now offering you can now grade without a paid membership for CGC. Before, you used to need to have a paid membership. Those started at $25. But now for CGC, you can grade for $25 a book for modern, and they go up from there, similar to CBCS. I think it was 25, and then it might be 28, 25 for new, 28 for modern. And then you have like this cap at like a $400 limit. They don't necessarily go by age, but it's value. Where after that it becomes like 4% of the market value or something. It does get progressively more expensive as you go up, and they do. CGC takes a percentage of the book with a minimum of like $100 for their pricing. Where they win is that their return shipping is only $15. So you could theoretically get a modern graded book for significantly less than CBCS based just on the cost of shipping being different. And another thing CGC did recently, and I think some of this is to get some positive PR based on some recent issues they've had with their slabs. They're offering a discount for members. So if you're I believe it's like the lowest tier membership where like you actually paid, it's like $25 a year, you get 10% off. And then if you're the next tier up, which I believe is like $300 a year, but that's for like shops and stuff like that. More heavy collectors or shops, so people who submit in bulk can do that, because you do get some credits to their store and some CGC submission credits along with that higher level of $300. It's 20% off your total, your grading cost. So if you were a $25 a year member, to kind of make your money back, you'd have to submit at least 10 books, right? Not the worst. But you would also only be paying $22.50 to grade a new book, plus $15 shipping. Plus you could clean and press it if you wanted to. If it's a newer book, chances are you might not have to do that, especially if like it was picked up, bagged, and boarded, and kept well. So you could save money on that. So I think right now CGC wins on that front, on pricing, easily. The fact that they're only they're half the cost of shipping. They're only $1 more for new submission. For like new era submissions for comics, I should say, and their turnaround times have been fantastic. So for me, I think I give the win in that column to CGC. So turnaround times have always kind of been an issue within the grading kind of community, especially during the pandemic. They got really, really escalated, and I say that knowing firsthand how long it took to get some of my books back. At Rhode Island Comic Con 2021, I submitted a Harley Quinn #1 from the New 52, signed by Amanda Conn and Jimmy Palmiotti. It was witnessed at the con, as well as a Web of Spider-Man #1, 1 in 25 variant for the Avengers Campus kind of mini-series they did, where Web stood for Worldwide Engineering Brigade. And it took about 11 months for those to come back. I didn't get those back until October 2022, just before Rhode Island Comic Con in 2022. So it was painful to wait that long for those books to come in. I didn't understand why. But CBCS wasn't alone in dealing with those kind of delays. Through CGC during the pandemic, I submitted an Ultimate Fallout 4, the first Miles Morales, and an Amazing Spider-Man #4, the first full appearance of Silk in comics, for clean and press and grading. And that submission took just over 14 months to come back in. I don't know why, but that was how long it took. And both of those companies have made amazing strides to kind of counter that type of backlog. Some of it might be that people aren't submitting as much now, post-pandemic, post having a lot of extra money to kind of throw around for that type of thing. And part of it is they saw the demand increase during the pandemic, and they responded appropriately by hiring new staff. Now, that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, based on how you think their grading has either their grading quality has either increased or decreased because of those new hires and the lower standards, and whether that contributed to some other issues they've had. but I will say I've submitted to both companies recently and gotten my submissions back well before I should have, based on the turnaround times they suggested. I've submitted two different groups of books to CBCS within the last 3 months, and I've gotten both of them back within 3 weeks of them receiving the packages. That is amazing, considering I did the lowest tier possible, and it should have been a minimum of 6 weeks before I got those books back. So, fantastic job by CBCS. Matter of fact, they have no problem telling me I got them back earlier than I was supposed to, because they put this little insert in the package that says, hey, we got these done earlier than at the expected time. We hope that we've exceeded your expectations, and they kind of have on that front. CGC I've still submitted mostly through my LCS Nick's comic strip, and or Bobby over at Bobby's RetroWorld, and even those have come back within 4 to 5 weeks, which is way faster than it used to be. I can't complain at all on the turnaround times for CGC either. So I think CBCS wins slightly for the fact that they do tend to come back slightly faster, but honestly, based on volumes, what companies are working with, I think both of them kind of win in the grand scheme. So it's more of a tie than it is a win. And I would rule it that. Honestly, the turnaround times are a tie between the two companies. The last kind of area to look at is definitely the value you get out of the books. CGC, notwithstanding the current controversies about people slipping lower grade books into higher grade slabs and resealing them or submitting them through reholder, whether that's what happened, or there's definitely some current issues that CGC is addressing with the concern around their slabs, and credit to them for being as transparent as they possibly can during an ongoing legal investigation. I give them credit for that. Matter of fact, their president went on West Coast Avengers and spoke with him in the 99 newsstand, who helped kind of break the whole story about what was going on with the slabs on there, and kind of give a decent interview over there on it. So you can find out some more from his perspective. Again, probably not the most informative thing due to ongoing legal discussions, what the company actually wants to disclose to the public, what they want to keep private, so on and so forth. So go in with some tempered expectations for it being this bombshell thing, but it's definitely worth watching just to learn more. And definitely check out some of the earlier videos if you are more curious about what happened with the slabs and how it kind of all spun out of control a little bit there for a bit, and how it came to light. It's really interesting. I found it fascinating for a bit there. So definitely go check them out. West Coast Avengers here on YouTube. So value-wise, CGC does still hold the market. If your book is graded by CGC, you're going to get the most value. If it's graded by CBCS, you're likely to get maybe 80%, 90%, depending on the book. If it's a really valuable, like Silver Age key, you'll probably get closer to 90% of the value, I would say. But you definitely won't see maximum profit until you get it graded by CGC and have like a 9.8 from CGC. That's like your max value. If you get a 9.9, whoa, out of the ballpark. If you're grading them for your own personal collection, that's where it can get a little bit iffy. If CGC were to like change their pricing, or CBCS were to come out with a comparable discount on their slabs, like 10% off or something like that, because you can always submit through them without creating a paid account as well. To me, CBCS has the better slab, and I like putting those up on my wall. And again, just for comparison's sake, let's just take one more look at these. It's pretty fair to say that, like, I don't know, this one kind of just looks nicer. It's nothing crazy, and the same with like this one. They're not that crazy off from where they should be. I just think, I don't know, there's something about the CBCS slab that sticks out to me more than it should, I think, probably. But it since they changed like the label and stuff, they made it so it's not all one monotone color. They just look really good together, so you can't go wrong. But if you're in it for if you're in it for a profit or to run it more as a business, CGC is absolutely your way to go. If you want to maximize the value of your book, CGC is the way to go at this moment. It might change in the future. CBCS may catch them. Who knows? Honestly. For me, I go back and forth, honestly. I do kind of do it where, like, if it maximizes out, if it's a book worth grading to maybe one day flip if I ever don't want to keep it in my collection anymore, use it to trade for something bigger, I will get the CGC label on it. If it's one that I'm like, okay, I'm putting this up, I know it might be a little bit lower of a grade, but I want to put it up on display with my other books, then I go CBCS. And I think I've shown that on here before, especially in my last CBCS unboxing where I pulled my X Factor number 6. That was a 5.0, First Apocalypse, and as the Avengers book I've shown here today, King Size Annual Avengers number 10, the first Rogue and first cover of Mystique. That one came back a 6.0. So for me, getting them slabbed to be able to put on my wall with the other books, that's all that was really worth to me. Nothing crazy. I didn't need to go crazy and do a CGC submission, and I honestly submitted those with a discount code from CBCS, and that was before CGC was offering discounts and free membership submissions. So that factored into it as well. So I have to give CGC the edge for market value if that's where you would like to put your money, and based on the price that we talked about earlier, it makes more sense to go CGC right now. And so if you're looking to pick a grading company, if you can submit it through CGC, they're the ones you should probably pick at the moment, based on all the factors I laid out here. If you want to feel, if you're not comfortable submitting with them while they work through their current controversy, CBCS is absolutely a fantastic option that you can absolutely use and take advantage of. Having a second option to do PGX, you would go way further down the value pipeline there. Not going to get probably even 50% of the market value on a book. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's comfortable to you, and this is just me going through my experience on what I pick for these books and what I think of them. So do what you feel is comfortable. This is not any advice to actually take, like that I'm saying is professional advice. This is just my experience and me trying to give you my personal experience dealing with each of these companies, where you can't go wrong either way, so you have to do what feels comfortable to you. But because this is a special Valentine's Day episode, I want to share a couple of the comic related gifts I got this Valentine's Day. And let's start off with the first one here, which is a signed 8x10 from featuring the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast, but it is signed by the one and only Clark Gregg, aka Agent Phil Coulson. You may remember him from the Phase 1 of Marvel and the first Avengers movie where Loki stabs him. Well, came back in this series. Fantastic series. Absolutely love Phil Coulson. So, very stoked, and thank you so much to my wife for this amazing picture that I will frame and put up on the wall. And yeah, if you haven't checked out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the first season's a little rough. It does get a little wonky towards the end. Absolutely worth watching the whole thing though. But if you only have to pick out one season, do yourself a massive favor and go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. I know I've said it before, especially when I talked about Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider. Features in that season. It's such an amazing season. I absolutely love it. So go check that out, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, let's wrap this up with the last gift I got for Valentine's Day that's related to comic books. And I know I've hyped this movie up on here as well, but I got a Blue Beetle magnet pin from GameStop, but it looks exactly like the Beetle in the movie. It's a limited edition. What is it? One of 8,000 of these replicas made. And sometimes GameStop has some really cool pins like this. So the box is really awesome. Really cool to see it. So just some like Blue Beetle so on and so forth. Really, really, really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. Very, very stoked. I know I don't have a lot of DC stuff, but this is going to be one of the cool DC things I do put up on my wall along with my Batman Beyond Batarang that I have. So, yeah, no, thanks again to my wife for these amazing comic book gifts for Valentine's Day. Yeah, thanks for stopping by here at Whoosh, and have a great Wednesday. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.